A to the K.
to the K.
To the K. Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show, emanating from the beautiful A2theK Studios.
In the wild heights of the A2theK Tower.
Yeah, on A2theK Island.
Nice, love it.
Where else can we go?
Have to fly the A2theK jet over.
Yeah. Okay, why not?
But we're still live. Still in the studio. Well, we're live now. Recorded.
We're still alive.
We're still recorded when you watch it, obviously. But still, like in person, Carl. I'm loving it. Love the new set.
Live.
Love the new setup.
In person, in glorious Technicolor, and bringing you all the latest headlines. Because coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. What have we got? We've got Bray Wyatt possibly returning this Friday.
WWE announcing Survivor Series War Games.
War Games. That can be the same without Regan.
I know, it's not the same.
Logan Paul challenges Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel.
Kenny Omega allegedly upsetting AEW locker room.
Triple H has some unexpected returns lined up.
Gable Steveson possibly no longer with WWE.
A new Jeff Hardy set to return to AEW soon.
Malakai Black releases a statement on his AEW release.
Several Impact Wrestling contracts set to expire in October.
And Trish Stratus sadly rushed to emergency surgery. Yeah, that worked.
That works. Anthony, when's all that stuff? Oh, not that. We also did a
Not that.
Please check that out too. But Anthony, when's all that coming up?
It's all coming up. Right fucking now, Carl.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So professional, aren't we? Just random
Always
stuff
to a T.
cropping up in here.
But you know what else, Carl? We're going to be covering the news.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be pairing that nicely. In fact, we're going to be pairing the whole show nicely with Top Rope Beer.
Yes, we are.
This week's, as you all know from Top Rope Tuesday's social media post, is Cold Stone Cream Austin. And I loved last week's, but my God, this one blows out the water. There's no disrespect to last week's. That was awesome too. Absolutely. I was hyped for Papa Mango, as you know, Carl.
Yeah.
But I tasted this, and it's just fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
It actually might be
delicious.
my new favourite beer. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's proper smooth drinking. And then at the end, it's just like got this, I don't know, like this nice ice cream aftertaste.
It really, yeah. Delicious. It's not a pairing you normally think of, I don't suppose, for a beer. But fuck, it's really nice. It's fresh, man.
It is. It is delicious.
Get one. Use the code and get 10% off.
Did you know we had a
code?
code?
Several.
Got a code. Check that out.
Check it
A2theK10 on topropebrewing.com.
Damn right.
Indeed.
Let's talk about the news.
Let's talk about the news. So, the world is in a tizzy. Apparently. Because we're all going down the rabbit hole.
No.
Literally. So, there's been, over the last kind of couple of weeks, there's been fan recordings and footage of stuff happening between commercial breaks or during live events, where the lights kind of go dark and then they play this interesting song called White Rabbit. And yeah, it's very eerie, to say the least. But that plays and then the lights turn red. So it's like, ooh, what could this mean? Why are they doing this? Well, on Raw this week, we also saw a QR code. And if you follow that QR code, it was. Did you see it? Did you see it? Sure you have. But if you followed it, you would be taken to a page on WWE.com, and essentially it's like the Hangman game, isn't it? Where the video
Hangman Adam Page.
The thing I love about this though is it's basically it's got so many people talking about it. It's like, is it Karrion Kross who went by White Rabbit? This
reminds me of like old days, like Jericho returning.
Yeah,
what's the
like
mystery?
break the code.
I love this shit.
Like that. Like they tried to do something similar a little bit with Edge, didn't they? But it was like obvious. It was like, well, yeah, who else is it going to be? But with this one, there's so many names I've heard thrown about. So obviously, Karrion Kross has got a bit of a relation to this with obviously being White Rabbit in Lucha Underground. But then obviously you've got Bray Wyatt seems to be the hot contender.
People love it. I mean, obviously the lights suggest like Firefly.
Well, the lights go red. People put their phones on.
You're getting that, and WWE knows they're doing that. And to be honest, on some level, if they're not paying it off with Bray, I don't know how people are going to feel.
Well, you've got like Ramblin' Rabbit, so there's a connection there. You've got
Alice, so there's Yeah.
Yeah. But no, you've got loads of these things, like the font that was used on the video, for example, it's the same font that was on one of his t-shirts.
But again, this is what I love about the mysteries, and I'm by no means saying this is the case, because this would be the way to disappoint everybody, no offence, to a particular wrestler I'm about to name. But I mentioned to you the other day, the Hangman game, right? Deliberately, the rabbit used the letters demon first. And the little X's to me look like the X's that Finn Balor uses when he doesn't want to spell his whole name. He puts fucking. And I'm like, are they referencing the demon Finn Balor coming back? Which, to be honest, and I've always been a fan of the demon character of Finn Balor. I've been a bit lukewarm, let's say, about the pointy guy and the Judgment Day guy. But even so, like, I think because there's so much hype about like people returning and the possibility that it's the likes of Bray Wyatt, for it to be Finn going back to that gimmick probably would disappoint. But again, because they're putting so many little seeds in there for you to not be sure who it is, like, I can see those elements of Finn, and I'm like, ooh, you know.
Well, I had a bit of a wild one as well. Is Charlotte Flair. Okay. Now that's come out of nowhere, right?
Walk me through that one.
So, I think she's in desperate need of a gimmick change. And obviously you go with the Alice in Wonderland theme, you've got like the Mad Queen and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, But, yeah, there wasn't really much else to it than that, other than we haven't seen Charlotte Flair in a while, and I was like, could this be something new for her? But if you solve, well, you don't really solve it, if you saw the video, once the, do they call it Hangman in America? I'm guessing they do. Once the Hangman thing was solved, we got to see basically that it's potentially going to be coming on SmackDown this week.
Yeah, it was like the 23rd of the night.
Yeah, like the 23rd. It turned blue, and there was like stuff. So maybe we're going to know.
I mean, we're British, so straight away we were like 9:23.
What's that?
The hell?
But yeah, we assume that means. Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be Bray Wyatt? Do you think he's coming back? Do you think? Here's a theory that I don't know where I got it from. I mean, I saw it. I've stolen it, but I don't know where I got it from. And it was you've got Braun Strowman back. You've got Karrion Kross. You've got Scarlett. Could we be seeing like all of these somewhat taking on characters from the Firefly Funhouse? So you've kind of got got a White Rabbit. You've got what are the Buzzard. You've got whatever all the fucking things are. Maybe they're all them come to life or something. Alexa. Because if you remember as well, he called it Wyatt 6. That's he changed all his name. So you've got
Bray. Like the Wyatt 6, like a Westerner.
Well, you've got Bray, you've got Karrion, you've got Scarlett, you've got Braun, Alexa, and Dexter Loomis. Six people right there.
I get what you're saying. I mean, like, I feel like Judgment Day might be involved in this. I don't think it's going to be Finn, but I feel like Judgment Day might be involved in this mystery. So are we going to have 3 members of the Judgment Day and then simply Bray, Karrion?
We've got Dominic now, technically. Do tease and AJ as well.
Really? Pulling his hair and shit.
Stop. But
yeah, okay, they've got Dominic. And to be honest, the further away they stay from it, the better. To be honest.
Well, true. But yeah, all the signs seem to be alluding towards a Bray Wyatt return, and could it be as soon as this Friday?
Yes.
Think they give that away on TV?
The date giveaway for me. The fact they put that date on the screen for those.
But do you think that's when they're going to debut? Or do you think that's when we're going to get something the first time they introduce it to the public? Because this has all just been, I saw a QR code, or I was at a live event and this happened.
I think they need to do something big for those who've spotted it and it's going around social media now. If they just go, yes, the mystery's here on TV now, it'd be like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, even people
started looking how long they took to actually pay off Bray Wyatt.
Well,
they've done the Funhouse segments for a long time before we saw The Fiend.
What they paid off? How much did they give?
A lot.
No,
but like, if you remember, the Funhouse segments went on for ages before we actually got The Fiend, and like we saw The Fiend in the Funhouse, and then we didn't get to see him in the ring for ages either. So they're not afraid of doing a slow burn, but I do think they need to deliver a lot to go, well, this is what's happening. And to my point, if it is going to be Bray, I think 23rd will be paid off and let you know it's going to be Bray, but you don't know when. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
No, it's fascinating. I'm very curious to see exactly what it is that they do with it. Some people, the eagle-eyed amongst us, have noticed on the Extreme Rules posters, there's now like in the background of one of them, there's a lantern and there's fireflies. It's like, hang on a minute. So yeah, Bray coming back finally. Interesting.
Finally.
So what's the next one?
The next one, Carl, a relatively quick one, but one that we need to mention because we've been talking about Survivor Series for a while now and about what it needs to be, and I'm sure a lot of people have as well. But Triple H, during recent press conferences, discussed Survivor Series and its future and mentioned that this year's Survivor Series is going to consist of 2 War Games matches. But not just that. He said it's not going to be the typical red versus blue thing they've been doing for a long time. Despite the logo, that one there, they're not going to do it as Team Red, Team Blue. He said it's going to be more story driven, right? And I think you may have echoed this very early on for the women's War Games. Correct me if I'm wrong. When Bayley came back with her team, and it was like, "Oh, we're going to build to like a War Games. That's why we're building these factions up." And this seems to make a lot of sense. And I love the fact that Triple H is, it's almost like he's one of us who suddenly has control, because he's like, I fucking hate that, just, well, we're all against each other just because we're on different sides of the same fucking coin. Instead, we're going to get it actually to be story driven, and we're going to get the classic War Games match,
which is going to be, it's going to make Survivor Series feel fresh.
I'm so looking forward to it. So
like the way they've handled it in the past as well. It's suddenly people who've literally just come out of a feud and hated each other now all joining up for
come on, guys, we're all SmackDown.
Yeah, it's like really, who gives a fuck?
Sorry for the accent.
I was doing that. Do the rest of the show like that. So yeah, this will make it feel significantly more fresh. But yeah, I think that seems to be the way we're going to go from the women's side of things. On the men's side, could it be the Wyatt Six? Just against people.
Can we not call it the Wyatt Six? It just feels like a Wild Cowboy hat on.
Oh, here it's the Wyatt.
This town ain't big enough. Sorry,
it's just all about accents today. But yeah, I think it's a welcome addition, and hopefully it's a return to form for.
Indeed, cannot wait.
Can you wait for this next one? So this is interesting.
Kind of not. I mean, it's one of them, but no, go on.
Well, so we had a press conference, and the worst kept secret was revealed that Logan Paul is going to challenge Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Is that what it's called now? I don't know. So that's going to actually go ahead, and a lot of people are kind of outraged, like, why Logan Paul? All that kind of stuff. I don't mind it.
I mean, the only problem I have with this, right, because I think, you know what, this is kind of like, it's very Logan Paul-esque to do it. And he even said it in his promo, you know, while we've been somewhat playful with some elements of his promo, like he was saying, like, you know, he wants to do boxing and he give it his all, and he went, you know, and he's come into the wrestling world and he wants to challenge the head of the table, he wants to challenge the biggest guy kind of thing. And it's very in keeping with the Logan Paul brand, if you will, the person he is. So I totally get it from a story standpoint, but at the same time, the only issue I've got with it is the fact that Crown Jewel's proved me wrong before, but it just doesn't feel like Logan Paul is going to be the guy to take out Roman Reigns title-wise, and that's no disrespect to Logan. I've actually said over and over how impressed I am with his debut. He's a natural athlete and he's going to be great in this business, but just because he's so new to it, it just seems really unlikely that it's going to be him going over.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a hell of a match. I'm going to really enjoy it, but it's not going to be an unpredictable match.
It's going to be interesting to see him on that main stage.
Oh yeah,
because obviously he's been in stuff with the Miz and all that good stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, but to go up against the top guy, he's going to want to deliver, isn't he? And I think he will deliver.
I think he has got a natural ability to it. Like, he looked really good with the Miz and the Rey Mysterio stuff.
He's ridiculous.
And it's all about your, forgive the analogy, but it's all about your dance partner, if you will, isn't it? And there's no way that Roman can't help him, like, put this match over. Yeah. Like, it is gonna be a good match. I don't think there's any doubt in that sense, to be honest.
No, I think it'll surprise a lot of people about how good it is. But I think, I don't foresee any circumstance where Logan Paul's going to walk out of here with the belts. No. I don't think that's the worst. I don't think any of the Saudi shows that they've put on over there have ever really been anything where you expect massive mega change as such.
It's the only reason I'm like always made me doubt before, because I was so adamant that Bray wasn't going to fucking lose the title to Goldberg. So
yeah, well, I think with that one though,
I really didn't want that to happen.
Wasn't that the one on the road to WrestleMania? So typically when they've had, what's the other one called? They have Crown Jewel and they have the other one, don't they? I can't remember what it is, but it's usually around about that one when they need to make some last minute changes ahead of WrestleMania. But I think for this one, I can't see it happening, but it'll be, I mean, at the end of the day, Logan Paul's a massive megastar, Roman Reigns a massive megastar, it's going to get a lot of eyeballs on it, it's going to be good for Saudi, so you can kind of see
Listen,
why they've done it. But
it's a money match.
and
It is
fair
a money
play,
match.
we did rip Logan Paul about the I am the table.
Look, the thing is, right, he's a confident dude. He knows how to talk, but it just tickled me.
Yeah, and fair play to Impulsive. Obviously, they were.
Yeah, we were buzzing off that.
They liked it and
Being
stuff
the
as
little
well.
fish that we are.
So, you know, fair play. Appreciate the rub from Impulsive there, but good sense of humour for the pair of them.
Indeed. So, Calm, Kenny Omega, and this one feels a little bit like a reach, to be honest, because, I mean, it came from the Wrestling Observer, right? But it's actually alluding back, given all the recent controversies in AEW, this one's alluding back to Kenny Omega's locker room speech that he gave. The pep talk. That, weirdly, I recall, like, when it was first reported before all the controversy, people were like, oh no, he was really good with everyone, and you know, he made everyone like, yeah, we need to unite, and now throwing shade at it, weirdly. Funny that, isn't it? Which is why I'm taking it with a pinch of salt. But apparently he made a bit of a comment that has rubbed a few AEW stars the wrong way, if you believe the rumour mill. And that was the fact that he said something along the lines of 8 out of 10 of the guys in this locker room he wouldn't have hired. And everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't be saying that. And it's like, I don't know what, I don't feel like this would have come up before all the controversy if that was the case. But the other side of it is the saying that he didn't say it as anything other than a joke because Will Ospreay was in the room at the time.
Yeah.
And he was having a rivalry with him. And he apparently looked at Will Ospreay when he made that comment, and it was met with a, you know, kind of thing. But again, even that, I'm like, I'll wear it as a joke. That seems more likely. But at the same time, why did you say 8 out of 10? Yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. But for me, this feels like heavily on the rumour mill side of things. Like, oh, look what's going on. Even Kenny Omega's upsetting people. And almost like a way of going, see, they're just as bad. But I hadn't heard, up until all the recent media scrum stuff, I hadn't heard that people were that negative about his speech.
No, me neither, to be fair. I think, you know, we might have even touched on it in, you know, previous episode. And, yeah, I don't know. Are they clutching the straws now? Just trying to stir the pot on, you know, the other side of things with CM Punk out. I don't know. But
flogging a dead horse, as you will.
A little bit, is what it sounds like. Speaking of flutter, no, that doesn't really work. But, so, Triple H, apparently, I'm not too sure whether he has said this in an interview, I'm pretty sure he has, but he's alluded to, he's got some surprise names, potentially, that people wouldn't have even thought of, that he might be showing up soon in WWE. Now, obviously, there's a lot of speculation if you Bray Wyatt and people like that. People are like, yeah, they're definitely going to come back. One of the names, and potentially two of the names, because it could be quite interesting for this lady right here, is potentially Nick Aldis.
Interesting.
Who is a name that I don't think many people would expect Triple H to bring over.
I mean, it's certainly unexpected.
But I know, obviously, I don't know whether he's signed on for a long period of time with NWA or what that, you know, situation looks like. But yeah, a lot of people are alluding to potentially being Nick Aldis, and then what would that mean for Mickey? She's obviously on her last rodeo, if you will, so I think there's rumours she might end up going to the WWE as some kind of producer role.
They may both come back for a little bit of a run. Her last rodeo might end in WWE.
Well, I mean, she was there just this year.
Exactly. The relationship with
the Rumble,
bad. They fired Johnny Bimback. So.
Well, exactly. Like, Johnny Bimback's gone, and obviously Vince is gone, for whether you love him or hate him, whatever. From her personal relationship standpoint, I imagine it's a more attractive deal.
As I understand, I think the ones who contacted her were really apologetic about the situation were Triple H and Steph, so I don't think there's any ill will in that sense. And a lot of people are really hyped that Triple H is running the show, so... Yeah.
Well, I wonder what other names, because obviously it was...
you know what, and a lot of people probably aren't asking for this, and this is no disrespect to them, but I really kind of hope they go with Harry Smith.
Yeah, he's another one, isn't he?
I don't know why they brought him in, didn't do anything with him and dropped him so quick anyway. I really hope that they've done some repairs in that relationship, because how can you not have the British Bulldog's son, who has proven himself in MLW over and over?
Yeah.
Like, how can you not want him in there? And it's a bit of an unexpected name. Again, it might be, in terms of drawing power, it might be a similar thing to Nick Aldis, where if you're only like a casual or a WWE sort of person, you don't really watch the indie stuff, you might not be like, what's the word? Not that it'd be disappointing, but it won't be like, whoa, those guys, you know. And that's no disrespect to them, but you have to watch the product to know them, you know.
Yeah, basically we just want to bring back all the Brits, Nick Aldis, Harry, anyone who's
Pac.
Well, I mean, he's set but yeah, bring Pac back, if you will. But another name, I don't know whether people have speculated on this, but I wouldn't be surprised by Tyler Breeze. He was a Triple H guy massively in NXT, and he's just hanging around. Yeah.
He's like Austin Theory, but likeable.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, like that'll be an interesting mirror match, if you will. So, yeah, have you guys got any thoughts who it could be? Who's the unexpected names that people aren't talking
really
about?
Unexpected,
well, yeah, by all accounts as well, he's interested in making that return.
So calm, right? This one again is very speculative, but I get where they're coming from, and this is around Gable Steveson. This has been a strange one, to be honest, for a while. I've really still never understood why his whole sort of run seemed to be WrestleMania. Stephanie brings him out and goes, "Guys, it's Gable Steveson," and then that was that. That was his WrestleMania like moment, and then we never hear from him again. And it's like, what was that about? Yeah. Like, I've never known them introduce somebody like that before. That was kind of weird. But you go, okay, they're treating him like a big deal, because he is a big deal, right? And a lot of people reference like he's like the next Kurt Angle, you know, without ever knowing whether he had any ability on the mic or comedic timing or anything like that. He's the next Kurt Angle, and I'm not throwing any shade. I have no idea, because nobody has any idea. And this is where this article comes in, Carl, because it's been reported that he is actually not at the Performance Centre.
Interesting.
He's not regularly trained at the Performance Centre.
Where is
he? He is believed to be back home, and he's still doing some sort of college level stuff, and it actually is reported that he may be going back to college wrestling. And this is where you go, well, all right, there's no official thing from WWE or him or anyone to say he's not with WWE anymore. But it certainly seems like not being at the Performance Centre would suggest he's not sort of getting ready to be on screen.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be a good while before we see him in a WWE ring, certainly. And the slight suggestion is that WWE, in terms of their websites and the like as well, they're not listing him anymore. So it seems like he may have quietly gone.
Interesting.
But again, there's no official statement on that front. But given that he is nowhere near Florida at the moment, and he doesn't appear to be training in the Performance Centre, it would suggest that certainly we're not going to see him anytime soon.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, I like to obviously to give him that big WrestleMania moment like they did. I'm guessing they assumed he would just pick it up very quickly and just be able to go. And I think Kurt Angle was just a whole different level of how he picked that up and what he did.
I think it's an absolute honour to be referred to as the next Kurt Angle, and I don't think they were unfair suggesting that. There's a lot of parallels there, but Kurt is an anomaly.
Yeah.
As someone who was in the Olympics as a wrestler, shouldn't be so fucking funny.
No,
to be honest with you,
he's like a generational talent, isn't it? As they say, you only get them very few and far between over many years.
Someone like Kurt Angle, when you look at the credentials and the history, like he's come from the Olympics, he's a gold medalist, he's come from the Olympics. He shouldn't have been able to pull off being in a rap battle with John Cena.
He should be that talented at everything.
That's the thing. He shouldn't have been able to get over a rap battle with John Cena. That shouldn't have worked, but he fucking did.
He's so funny though, isn't he? He
Absolute
was
legend.
Brilliant. One of the best comedy kind of.
And I kind of feel sorry for Gable, because if the idea has been you're going to be the next Kurt, and it's not been that he's not he's not cutting it, but he's no Kurt, that'd be a bit shit. I hope that's not the case.
It's impossible shoes to fill, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think hopefully they meant that from the athletic.
Yeah, I assume because again, there's some parallels there in terms of their I was going to say real wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of
amateur wrestling.
Yeah, the amateur wrestling background. There's some parallels there.
So you might be back to at the NCAA then, possibly going after someone else.
Maybe.
Interesting. So this next one, speaking of interesting, so Matt Hardy has a podcast too. Did you know that? The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, I think it's called.
Extreme Life.
Never heard of it. We kid, of course, but he was. I
can't believe he's not called it like a moment of Matitude or something.
A twist of fate, I would have called it.
That's even better.
Come on. But yeah, he was either asked about or was talking about his brother anyway. As we know, he has been in rehab since the incident from a kind of few months ago. And Matt has basically revealed that he's almost ready to return, and he's super excited for that return. And he expects us to see a new Jeff Hardy. I think he said that he is fully aware of what's happened and what he's done and how he's let people down. And now's finally going to be the time that it's. He's over it, and touch wood, touch anything, to hope that's the case. Not anything.
Yeah, this is a difficult one. I mean, because the wicked side of me is wanting to try and make jokes, but it's a serious matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't want to go into this side because we're talking about, he's in the right mind space, he's in the right space. Hopefully he can come back and he can prove everyone he's on the right track. But when Matt's referring to you're gonna see a new Jeff, are we talking Willow? Are we talking a whole not the Hardy Boys Jeff? Is that are they hinting at that, or is it literally just he's a changed man? Kind of.
It's when
spirits kind of approach.
It's in the wrestling world. It's hard to know when you're referring to real stuff or gimmick stuff or whatever. So I don't think anyone knows, but it sounds like we could be seeing him somewhat soon. And obviously Tony Khan has said he's got some things up his sleeves over the coming weeks.
Yeah,
so
some surprise up his sleeve, and it's wow, Jeff. Okay.
Big sleeves. That guy
wasn't expecting that.
Big sleeves,
and he's got a lot of fucking money.
He's got a lot of fucking money. Yeah. Fuck you, Jim Crockett. Basically how he came off, didn't he? People compare me to Jim Crockett,
Tony.
I'm better than them. Anyway, touched on this before.
We did. I'll keep it brief because a lot of people have read the whole statements, but we had a statement from Malakai regarding his release. And he has been dealing with a lot of personal shit. He touched on that. Obviously, it's not our business, and he made that kind of clear in the statement. But he did touch on a few things he's been going through in terms of losing a friend quite recently, and the struggles he's had. And even alluded to the fact that some of the promises that were made weren't necessarily fulfilled. So it sounds like the relationship with AEW may not have been tremendously happy. But he basically, in the statement, he confirmed he did request his release from AEW. That he wasn't happy about personal elements of that discussion being released to the public, and that essentially if you haven't heard it from Malakai, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
which I think is a fair one to put out because the rumour mill loves to go off on these things. And as I say, he mentioned a couple of elements. It sounds like he is done with wrestling for now, but I do think that we may never see him in AEW again because it sounds like he wasn't overly happy. And this is baffling for me because as a fan, you look at it and you go, House of Black was doing brilliant. He had a good position on the card, much better than a lot of wrestlers. He had a good position in the company. For me, was eventually going to be a future world champion. That faction was going places. It's crazy to leave it. I understand he did that for his mental health, but the fact that it's the suggestion there was promises made that weren't fulfilled and stuff like that.
I wonder what that is.
What could he have? And I'm not saying he's ungrateful. What could he have wanted? I mean, what could he have wanted? Because for me, he was heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I can only assume, and this is speculation, and I know we shouldn't do that, because, as Malakai rightly said, if it hasn't come from him, then it didn't happen. But, when you go, well, where was it around needing time or needing help? And they've gone, yeah, we'll just get this pay-per-view done and we'll do X, Y, and Z. And that's purely speculative on my part. But I don't think it was necessarily about his position in the company. I think it was probably about personal elements that just weren't being fulfilled. And I sincerely hope that he has the time off he needs. And I'm absolutely, and this by no means that it, if he needs to do what he needs to do, if he needs to quit wrestling forever, that's what he needs to do for his own mental health. But I was absolutely made up to find that, the way he talks in this and the way he talked after fighting Kid Bandit recently is very much he's not done with wrestling. He just needs time, which is brilliant because he's a very talented dude. And I was proper over with House of Black, and it's.
That's what I mean. That's why it's baffling to me, though, is that we've always said we much preferred Malakai Black to Aleister Black.
Yeah,
right? There's no denying. You can go back. We're quite critical at times of Aleister Black, the way he was portrayed. The thing with his, it just didn't come across well for WWE TV.
No.
So those promises, who knows what they are? If he could just be a victim. It seems like there's a thing in AEW at the minute anyway of. Well, they brought in Punk and this, that, the other. So maybe there were promises of you're going to be in the main event picture or you're going to be in this picture. And it just didn't happen because they can't say that to everybody. And with the growth of the roster and all that.
That's the thing. The promises were probably, with stuff like that. I'm sure Tony Khan said that and meant it to a lot of people, but then he got Punk.
Yeah.
Because he was...
When it's
he's like a kid collecting Pokemon cards, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of them. But if there is obviously the mental health aspect to it, and then, he said he hasn't taken a break in a long time, and I imagine it catches up, you know what I mean, and to be released from WWE and then kind of think you're going to start this new thing and then for whatever reason not being fully happy with it, then that is demoralising again. So.
Another point I'll mention, just because the rumour mill likes to talk about everything, he did clarify as well that him and Selena are fine.
Yes.
That's not been any part of this.
Yeah. Well, he said it was part of this personal statement, wasn't it? The stuff around his marriage and things have been, people talking about it, but obviously clearly fine and happy. And who knows? Like, according to Dave Meltzer, he reckons that Malakai wants to go back to AEW. So maybe that to WWE. So maybe that's part of it. But his wife works there. We haven't seen her in a while. But
I think, like from a fan standpoint, I'd be a little bit. I'll always go, well, what's WWE going to do with him? But knowing the Aleister Black compared to Malakai, I'll always prefer the AEW guy.
Yeah.
But seeing how people leave him, if he goes back to WWE, I just hope he gets to have a better run than he had the first time around.
Well, that's it. Maybe.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not talking NXT, I'm talking main roster.
Yeah, maybe he gets similar Cody treatment. He's gone off, proved what he could have done.
Tears a pec.
Given the creative license, comes back, tears a pec, and then goes.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice to see Cody at War Games.
Well,
by the way, should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry, go on, carry on.
Well, we will see. So this one is interesting. So reportedly, there's a number of Impact talents whose contracts are set to expire in October. Now, obviously, we had when Ring of Honor kind of, before it was purchased by Tony Khan and when they started running shows and stuff like that, Impact picked up a lot of Ring of Honor talent, obviously being the likes of Maria Kanellis and Maria Kanellis Bennett and Mike Bennett as well, amongst others. Now, reportedly, those contracts that they picked up from Ring of Honor are due to expire in October. So there's been no word on whether they'll be picked up or what that actually could mean for them. I
mean, I'm very surprised if Maria Kanellis or Mike go back to WWE. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not impossible, but they threw a lot of shade.
Well, they did, but obviously the regime has changed significantly.
That's what I mean. It's not impossible. So, I just feel like they're the ones who've been so outspoken that it might even just be sheer awkwardness that they wouldn't go back. It's like, we talked a lot of shit, so we'll probably...
I mean, to be fair, though, I think they had those beliefs and feelings when they went back the last time, and obviously they got turned into that weird kind of cook storyline that it turned, chefs. But, yeah.
That was strange.
So, I guess they went back regardless of how they felt last time, so who's to say they wouldn't do it again, but... I don't know, obviously Maria's got a lot of good stuff going on at the minute with the Women's Wrestling Army, and Mike Bennett seems to be in a really good place now as well.
Plus, you keep hearing rumours about Maria Kanellis working with Tony and stuff like that, representing Ring of Honor, and he has an invested interest in the women's division being improved, and I was expecting to see her in AEW, but we just haven't yet. So you never know, she could be AEW bound herself from the women's side.
What's it? I mean, she could just re-sign with Impact, you know what I mean? Or maybe Tony's going to bring her into Ring of Honor again, now that he owns it, and use her that
Maybe she'll go back to Ring of Honor?
Yeah. I'm going to break the fourth wall. Fuck you, Carl Cabell.
Share an account with your mom.
Topical. And then, somber news to end on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not bad news, but it was a bit of a scary moment for her, I suppose. Trish Stratus sort of released a bit of a thank you on social media, and this is how I found out because I didn't realise anything had happened. But obviously some people did, because she was thanking a lot of people for the well wishes, having been rushed to the emergency room due to basically pain she was suffering, which ended up being her appendix. And obviously you know how dangerous that can be if they burst. So, great news that it was sorted and she's in recovery and she's doing well. And the reason it was sort of noted by us was the sort of thank you for the outpouring of support and the like, but she did mention in that, it just shows you've got to listen to your body, which is what she did, and but she, totally on the right track. Just a scary moment there. That's going to emergency surgery all of a sudden.
I mean, like, she was literally just on WWE program the other week, so it's just like,
Madness, isn't it?
I know it's like an appendix, like it can happen to anyone. It's very sudden, but just mad to think in it. So heed her words. If you've got a bit of a pain going on, just go get it checked out.
If you fancy old English. Heed those words.
Yes, heed thy words. Checketh thy pain.
Drink thy top rope beer.
And liketh and subscribeth to thy channel on UbiTubes. And if you've not checked it out,
might as well check that out because we left it in there.
Yeah, accidentally we still got this slide in. So we did a wrestling quiz.
We did
with obviously Brad.
And the results will surprise you.
But the quizmaster himself, Brad, came back and put on another stellar quiz for us on the Ruthless Aggression era. So
I honestly, I don't know what this is anymore. We once maybe twice a year we ask Brad to come in and just fucking embarrass us.
Basically, and just proves
there's no other way I can win it. But the absolute immense fun for us, and you can play along. Obviously, we do the question and the answer. So if you do watch it and you want to play along, you'll have to answer with us at the same time because you're getting the answer pretty quick. So
That is true.
Just saying.
And, speaking of questions and answers, also we'll have our Q&A to the K. It's late. I'm tired. But yeah, we've obviously asked on Instagram, and we've got a lot of questions. Didn't get around to all of them, but I think we've got about 30 questions here that we're going to go through. So we'll try.
And if it's successful, we'll do another one. So bear that in mind.
Well, exactly. So if we didn't answer yours this time, we will try and get to it next time. Yeah, so make sure you use code A2theK10 on topropbrewing.com. Show them the beautiful can. I'll show them the beautiful.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was
Look at this. Beautiful stuff.
Look at that. Cold Stone Cream Austin. And I may say this again next week, but certainly a favourite. I still love the Papa Mango, but this is just so fresh and fucking delicious.
So fresh and so clean, as they would say. So yeah, use that promo code. Our friends Cheap Pop Wrestling just used it. They had a little get together using our code as well to get some delicious Top Rope beers.
Yeah, check those guys out. Funnily enough, they're in the next couple of weeks they're doing a Q&A of their own, so you should certainly check that out.
Check theirs out, and who knows, maybe we'll see them rock up on some other shows in the near future.
You never know. But while we're mentioning certain shout-outs for other podcasts, and we always said that we'll shout them out as it sort of feels natural, and we've checked something out quite recently. I mentioned other ones who they've sort of been in the same sort of podcast grind for a while, just like ourselves, and we've been sort of friends on social media for a long time. Is the Dirty Heels, who have recently interviewed Jeremy Profits, who we spoke to as well. Jeremy's an awesome guy, had a lot to say about representing Canada. Just fascinating dude when we spoke to him, but certainly check out Dirty Heels, and I believe the Wrestling DeLorean. Yes, because it was a bit of a collab. But, certainly check out those guys with their interview with Jeremy. Another fantastic one to watch.
Absolutely. And so also the last thing we will say, buy our merch. We do have merch. It's our beautiful faces. It's funny things that we say. Funny things we do.
It's over there.
Yeah. So go and get that. It's on ProWrestlingTees.com. You can get it from there. Obviously follow us on all the socials at A2theK Wrestling. You can catch all our stuff on A2theK.co.uk also. And yeah, if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, appreciate it. If you're listening to this, thank you as well. We're doing really good stuff in the charts at the minute. Like we don't really pay that much attention to the charts, if we're honest.
No,
it's not why we do this.
Occasionally it's nice to go, okay.
But yeah, I think we've been a bit of a consistent kind of in like Great Britain, Denmark, France.
Nice to be consistent in our own country.
Well, it's nice. You think hopefully some people from here listen to us. But yeah, so we do genuinely appreciate it, and be sure to tune in to obviously Q&A to the K. Be sure to tune in to A versus K, and we might have a surprise interview that we conducted today coming up soon as well.
Might be dropping the bombshell, as it were.
Dropping that bombshell soon. So until then, here is the one and only Griff Garrison to say goodbye.
This is Griff Garrison, and you're listening to A to the K.
A to the K. A to the K.
A to the K.